Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to my world of stocks. We've got another fresh stock market weekly update for you today. I'm actually recording this on July 4th, but it'll probably come out on Saturday. Either way, happy 4th to anyone, out there celebrating in America. Hopefully you got to spend some time with your family, friends, maybe watch some fireworks and stay safe out there. For this week, though, we've got many things to cover, including, of course, Trump's new spending bill just got approved by Congress. So we'll talk a little bit about that, how it's affecting some energy stocks, Tesla too. We've got a new trade deal between the US and Vietnam being worked on, being signed. And China is not too happy about that. Of course, we just recently had a framework for a deal being done with China. So I'll get into some of that stuff too with you guys. And then we also have just a ton of individual stock news from companies like Palantir, who signed a new deal for government AI. Got Robinhood, who rallied to a new record high. Meta went on an AI hiring spree. Solar stocks rallied on some policy changes in the Trump bill. And we even saw Hasbro climbing thanks to their Magic the Gathering card game, which I happen to enjoy playing myself. So all of that and more in today's video. It's going to be a ton of fun. Sit back, relax. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. All right, so as always, we'll be starting here by taking a quick look at how the markets performed this week. Of course, it is closed on Friday. It was closed on Friday because of July 4th, but overall, it was still a fairly strong week, only climbing less than 2%, but that was enough to help it break another new record high, while the tech-heavy NASDAQ posted similar results, climbing by about the same amount while also breaking new highs too. Part of this was thanks to stronger than expected jobs numbers, and I guess we'll just go ahead and jump into part two now, cover some macro news. But yeah, jobs came in a lot stronger than expected, so economy is looking fairly strong here, and that really just kind of helped boost investor confidence that the economy looks better than maybe we were expecting because of all the recent turbulence and tariffs and everything else going on in the kind of macro world. So that really helped lift the market for the week. Speaking of tariffs, though, on the trade front, China confirmed last week the framework of a new trade agreement that is finally getting done between the world's two largest economies. This, of course, is a huge win for global markets as it helps to de-escalate a trade war scenario that alone could have really sent both countries into recession. However, later in the week, those tensions have unfortunately started to re-escalate after China strongly criticized a new deal that is getting signed between the United States and Vietnam, where America would keep 20% tariffs on Vietnam while getting tariff-free access to their markets. More importantly, though, it imposes a very steep 40% tariff on any goods that originate from another country, like, you guessed it, China. In other words, America is really just trying to prevent other nations, primarily China, from basically laundering their exports through other countries to get around the higher tariffs and to get lower taxes basically by going through a country like Vietnam. Well, in response to this new deal being signed with Vietnam that would kind of prevent that, a spokesperson from China said, quote, "China firmly opposes any deal made at the expense of China's interests in exchange for so-called tariff exemptions. Should such a situation arise, China will never accept it and will take resolute countermeasures to safeguard its legitimate rights and interests." Now, I don't think Trump has responded to that yet, or at least I haven't come across any kind of response myself yet. But I would imagine that Trump will not be backing down from this, just kind of given who and how he is. And so I would say just kind of a fair warning to you guys. Don't be too surprised if we get some volatility in the market next week from tensions rising back up again, unfortunately, with China. It's something that we definitely have to keep an eye on, and we'll see how that affects the market next week. Apart from that, though, most eyes this week have really been on what is referred to as Trump's big, beautiful bill, which was making its way through Congress, but it just now got fully approved. I believe this was on Thursday. It's been approved by both the Senate and the House now. Just needs to be signed by the president. I think that's going to happen on July 4th, so maybe by the time you watch this, it's already been signed into law. But the bill, of course, has seen mixed reactions from many people. Some, of course, liking the trillions of dollars that it keeps in tax cuts, while others hate the trillions it raises in debt and all the cuts that it makes to social programs as well as renewable energy projects that directly affect various solar and wind companies and even EV makers like Tesla. I don't have much of a personal, political, social opinion to give you on that. I'll just leave all that kind of stuff up to you guys to form your own opinions. But this will bring us to part three, where we cover any individual stock updates for the week. And we, of course, just mentioned Tesla, so might as well start with them first. They were kind of moving up and down all week on this news of the bill because they are heavily affected by it, being especially hurt from the changes in the bill, like eliminating the $7,500 EV tax credit by next year, as well as any credits for leased EVs and used EVs by this year too. On top of which, it also gets rid of all the residential solar tax credits starting next year, which is a 30% federal tax credit that homeowners would get for installing solar panels on their roofs. Obviously, these cuts would hurt Tesla in a major way. They're a maker of EVs and seller of solar roofs and all that kind of stuff. It's only going to make those products even more expensive than they already are, which could hurt demand. And that's something that Tesla just can't really take on right now is, weaker demand because they're already seeing some struggling in their business. Notably, delivery numbers just came out for the second quarter for their vehicles. And although they did meet expectations, it was still a double-digit decline year over year. Now, just so you guys know, this now marks a delivery decline in 2024, a decline in the first quarter of this year, and another decline in the second quarter of this year, which even if some or even a lot of that has to do with recent Model Y turnover or retoolings or anything else, my opinion is that we are likely seeing a rise in competition as well as some brand damage being done to Tesla because of all the kind of political stuff that surrounds Elon Musk. Either way, though, it was enough to send the stock falling about 3% for the week, leaving it also down over 20% this year, although it is still up a lot in recent years. Now, I am up a lot on my own position too. I'm a Tesla shareholder, but I've actually started to trim my position just a little bit here to make sure I lock in some profits, which I talked about in my last Tesla update video. You can catch that, just go back and watch it in the channel. But basically, the issue that I have with Tesla is that it is getting a little too politicized for my liking. Whether I agree or disagree with any of that, just anytime you bring politics into a business, you're going to alienate some of that fan base. And Tesla's core fan base was, historically mostly liberal, right? So, and now you have a situation where I think a lot of liberals just really don't like Tesla. So it remains to be seen how that's going to be affecting them as a company. As of right now, again, they're seeing a decline in their delivery numbers. Hopefully that picks back up, but I'm not too sure what to think of it yet. We have to it's a wait and see situation. So I'm just locking in some profits just in case and holding on to the rest because I do like their future potential in many different technology and areas like robotaxis, autonomous driving, robots, energy, battery storage, all that kind of stuff. Speaking of, any kind of solar related companies, though, we did see some solar stocks rebound this week after taking huge damage the week prior. This coming after the Senate made some last minute changes to the Trump bill, removing a tax that had recently been inserted into it that would tax projects using components from foreign countries like China above a certain threshold, which, according to the American Clean Power Association, would have added up to $7 billion to the solar and wind industry's tax burden. Ultimately, the tax was removed, though, before the bill got passed. And I believe the bill also extended some other deadlines for some solar projects by an additional year or so to get some tax incentives. Anyway, the result was that solar stocks, because they had been beaten down so heavily just prior to this, they rebounded pretty strongly this week. NextEra Energy, another company, First Solar, Sunrun, these companies each climbed by over 3%, 18%, and a whopping 34% respectively for the week. So let me know if you guys own any of those stocks and how you're liking to see the little bit of a rebound here this past week. Moving on, though, to some big tech. We had Meta go on a hiring spree recently, essentially poaching AI experts from other top companies like OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, and more. OpenAI has even accused Meta of offering like $100 million to some of their AI experts, basically in like salary, but also through bonuses and other incentives. But yeah, I mean, you're talking huge amounts of money here. So Meta going on a big hiring spree. And this has been added to by a internal memo that was only meant for employees, but it got leaked out over the weekend into this week. And it was showing that Mark Zuckerberg is essentially building out what is like a dream team of AI experts here to lead what they call their new super intelligence division and platform that, in their words, is aiming to exceed human intelligence. It's pretty crazy stuff. I actually made an entire video on this whole situation if you want to go back and watch it. But yeah, I do own a lot of this stock myself, and I am very bullish on what they're doing right now and what they will likely accomplish in AI long term. I like the moves here. The stock did initially climb on the news, but it later corrected back down. Surprisingly, it finished slightly in the red, down about 1% for the week. But like I said, I really like Meta stock, and I like this news here. Speaking of AI, though, Palantir made some headlines this week as the ultra popular AI data management specialist announced a major partnership with Accenture to develop new AI powered solutions for the US federal government. Now, if you're not familiar with Accenture, they do a lot of consultant work for government agencies. And as part of the new deal, Palantir will actually train 1,000 of Accenture's employees on how to use Palantir's AI platforms so that they can help those government clients that they have, that they consult to, on how to use these various new tools and AI softwares, and specifically from Palantir, which is not maybe a mind-blowing development, right? Like, we know that Palantir does this type of work all the time, both training other companies' employees and integrating their software and services with government agencies. So this isn't like something like some kind of shocking news. But the reason why investors are liking the move is because it just really helps Palantir's AI software and platforms get even more woven into the defense and civil agencies than it already has been. So it's just kind of adding to that, really getting them deep inside that. And so the more that we can get Palantir inside the government and inside defense and have them using more of Palantir, the more that they rely on it, the more secure I think Palantir's future will be as an AI leader that is trusted and really needed by the government and by other corporations too. So that helped the stock. The stock does trade near an all-time high, though. I will say up over 1,300% in just the past few years alone. So let me know if you're still a buyer here. I already own a very large position in Palantir that I built up long before, but I'm still holding my shares long-term. Now, while I don't personally own Hasbro stock, I do actually give them a lot of business because I love buying collectibles and board games and all that kind of fun type of stuff. I'm really like a kid at heart in many ways. And one of the games that I love playing is Magic the Gathering, which is a card trading game similar to like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh!, that type of stuff. It's a little more adult themed, though. I think the average player of Magic is like 30 years or older. But anyway, it turns out that Magic is doing so well for them that Goldman Sachs actually came out and upgraded the stock from neutral to buy and raised their price target up to $85 a share, citing optimism about their growth prospects, particularly the strong sales that they're seeing from Magic, especially from their expansion sets that really exploded in popularity, sets like Lord of the Rings, the Final Fantasy set, and there's even still a Marvel set on the way too, which most people think will just kind of completely sell out anywhere that it's available. Thankfully, I did pre-order some of the upcoming Spider-Man set on Amazon, but there's always the risk that they actually cancel pre-orders if there's too much demand. That has happened to me before. So I'm just kind of really hoping here that Amazon keeps their word and fulfills my order and doesn't cancel it. But either way, though, Magic has now grown into Hasbro's first ever billion-dollar brand, generating more than $1 billion in sales per year. Even when Hasbro is in decline across all of their businesses, we usually see Magic being putting up solid growth quarter after quarter. And it's also seen its user base grow now to over 50 million players across 130 different countries. And I believe that figure was from a few years ago, so it's probably much bigger than that now. So anyway, point being that it's just extremely successful at this point, and it's why Goldman upgraded the stock, helping it climb almost 7% for the week. Let me know down below if you own this stock or if you even play the Magic game. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, guys, we'll finish up here with just one more stock for the week, one more update in Robinhood, which I do own myself. I bought in at the lows a couple years ago, mostly because I just really enjoy using the platform for investing in stocks. And I always felt that they were a bit of a disruptor as a fintech. But another thing that they do very well is offer crypto trading. Well, there's some new development on that. It's a little tricky here, but it actually sent the stock soaring by double digits this week after the company launched a pretty innovative crypto product in Europe, offering now tokenized stocks where users can basically buy tokens at any time, by the way, 24 hours a day from Monday to Friday. And these tokens will actually represent real US stocks like Apple, Nvidia, and more on the blockchain. So it's a novel way of just kind of letting international investors trade US equities around the clock, again, 24 hours within the trading days. And it's thus going to just be adding to their volumes, their user base, and all that kind of stuff, just really helping boost Robinhood's numbers. Unfortunately, the US has stricter regulations than that, so this is not something that is being offered here in the States yet, but hopefully that does come over here at some point in the future. But my guess is we're going to need new regulations passed for that to happen. Anyway, on top of that, though, it was also being speculated that Robinhood might get added to the S&P 500 index, given that HP had just acquired Juniper, and thus it was being removed, leaving a slot open for a new company to be added, which in the case of Robinhood, the company is now profitable, they're worth over $60 billion, so they met the criteria, plus its crypto rival, Coinbase, had recently been added too, which sparked rumors that Robinhood could be next, which would, of course, send demand for the stock rising, as index funds would now basically be forced to buy the stock after being added. But these rumors were eventually shot down, as ultimately Datadog was the one that was chosen to be added instead. Regardless, though, Robinhood continues to trade near a record high after a giant run-up recently. So let me know if it's a stock that you've invested in or are even interested in. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, I do own Robinhood, but I also own SoFi as well. Anyway, that'll do it for this week's update. Please share your thoughts about anything we discussed down below. Love to hear from you. Hope you enjoyed the update. Hope you're all doing well, my friends. And I will catch you in the next one. I do have a video coming out also this weekend. It's going to be a fun one on Sunday. You won't want to miss it. But yeah, I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Thanks again for your support. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.